Hey everyone, Ramon Russell here. It's time for another feature premiere. Today's episode is all about gameplay, and it's super important because the tech test will be live tomorrow, so we got a lot to talk about. I am joined today by newly minted design manager Luis Martinez, and also he's back, newly minted design director Steve Merker. How are you guys doing?
I'm great. Thank you. Thanks for taking a minute to talk to us.
Same, yeah. It's a really exciting time here. It's also, we're trying to get to the finish line, but yeah, doing great, Ramon.
Yes, the chaos. Getting to the finish line. It is nothing but chaos, but we are loving every minute of it. We are putting the finishing touches on MLB The Show 23. So what are you most excited for from the design and feature teams?
I think one can never say it too much, but the Negro League experience is going to be incredible. That has me extremely excited. In addition to that, I'm loving what our Diamond Dynasty team is doing in improvements this year. Some of the big features that are going to be coming. That I can't wait for those to be spoken to and get the feedback from our community on it.
What we're doing in DD, it's going to change the way you approach the mode, how you build your team. It's really exciting. And then we've got a bunch of changes to franchise. You're going to be experiencing the draft and everything related to the draft
in a different way, but don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
Yeah, I won't spoil it.
No, don't do it. Stop. Pull back.
But wait, aren't we? Didn't we talk about the draft already?
Yeah, we talked about the draft.
At least we mentioned it. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
We got a lot to talk about, but we don't want to spoil too much more. But what do you want fans to know about the game this year, guys, overall?
There's definitely been a lot of steps to make it feel as unique as a game should in a series, right? Mm-hmm. Every year you're putting out another baseball game, right? And that's every annual title does that. And every year we try to make it different and we try to make it special. And sometimes it gets mired and nobody sees the changes. But this, I think, really, really is pertinent in the change that we want the game to start taking on. And it's very much an impactful release. It has so much meaning from every mode and every experience has something that registers for every person who plays our game. And that's the thing I want everybody to take out. The team has worked really hard. We're very proud of them. And we're going to continue doing this here on. It's the first day of the rest of the life. We're continuing.
Also, Luis, before we start talking about legends, I know y'all want more legend reveals, but you have to remember, not only did we announce Derek Jeter, which Luis wants to talk a little bit about, but we've also announced 8 Negro League legends. And yes, Jackie Robinson is already in the game, but this is a different version of Jackie Robinson. And I know y'all have been asking a lot. You will be able to play as the 8 Negro League legends in other areas, but storylines is the focus, and everything about the Negro Leagues and these legends are built off of the storylines mode. What about Jeter, Luis? How excited are you that he's back and he's on the cover of the collector's edition?
You know, I don't usually play up my Yankee fandom too much, but this year, you know, with Jeter on the cover, it's just, you know, I'm getting the feels. So super excited about that. We're going to have some more legend reveals, and I'm really excited about something that we can't even touch on, some more surprises to come. So super excited.
Yeah, we got more surprises coming. So here we go. We're going to talk about some gameplay. Let's go. Thanks, Steve and Luis. And now let's talk about gameplay. Again, the tech test will be live tomorrow. So I got my man Kyle joining me. What's up, Kyle?
Ramon?
How you doing?
I'm feeling great, Ramon. Cannot wait to talk gameplay.
And for the first time on the stream, we got my man Connor. Connor, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ramon. Super happy to be here.
So people may know about Kyle, but Connor, what do you do here at the studio?
Ramon, I am a gameplay producer. Been here for about 3 years, started out in tests, got transitioned over to the team, and I'm loving it. Loving learning from Kyle, Gil, just everyone around here.
The wink emoji. We're about to talk about all things gameplay. The first big revamp is fielding. Before we get into it, we've been doing a ton of testing. We've been playing tournaments, and we have been looking silly because you have to learn how to field all over again in MLB The Show 23. But it's all changes we think you're going to love. Let's get right into it, Connor.
Yeah, so in last year's game, error rate was mainly the main thing that fielding kind of toggled, but in this year's game, there's some quite significant changes.
Like you were mentioning, fielding really controls, whether you're a higher attribute, reduced errors, the increased frequency of quicker, faster animations, the more efficient animations that we've captured, as well as really affecting the outfield start transitions. And so those are one of the things that we touched pretty significantly this year to really tier out and really to let you as a player be able to see that differentiation in the field. So with those outfield start transitions, you're going to notice on screen right now the differentiation between a Fox and an Aaron out there. Just speaking from a little bit of background, playing baseball myself, those first steps are very critical, especially playing outfield. Whether it's a hard line drive, whether you're going deep and back. And so as you watch the video, you're going to see that first step separation vary from a quick step, someone that can read that ball right away and get a good first jump, make that catch, or someone that takes a little bit longer. Maybe you take a harder first step because you don't read it as well. You're not really sure. And those are those lower attribute players, like right around 60, 50, where you're going to really, really notice the difference.
And for our newcomers playing, this isn't necessarily a new feature to start transitions, but what we noticed was they weren't playing enough, right?
Absolutely.
So we went back to the drawing board and rebalanced everything. Now, like Kyle mentioned, the fielding ability attribute, when you're playing and you have the controller in your hand, it controls the errors that are non-throwing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And this also controls the start transitions. Is that correct?
That is also correct.
Right. So what we've basically done here is we've gone back to the drawing board and rebalanced the start transition. So you're going to see way more variation. Like, it's very noticeable now, right, Kyle?
Very noticeable. And that is also going to affect balls making way to the ground or, through the gaps, splitting the gaps. That's something that we've taken feedback on from watching streams and everything, feel that the field is not playing quite as big as it should. So these start trans should help those different types of hit types, those hard line drives, the high fly balls. If you have a bad first step on a hard line drive, more often than not, that thing is going to split you and get to the wall in right center, left center. So, we're really trying to see more balls fall as well.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, it's not just the start transitions and the errors that are non-throwing. It's also the animations that you have.
Right.
If you get a bad jump, you still may be able to get to that ball, but your back, might end up being turned the wrong way, and you have to make a much longer throw, which means it's going to grab a longer animation and vice versa, right?
Right, absolutely.
So just from the start transitions, you're going to see way more granularity on what can happen in the field, even when you're making plays on the ball. Is that right?
Yeah, right, Ramon.
we're talking about fielding changes animation-wise. Any new animations, Connor?
Yeah, so this year, Ramon, we added new Rob foul animations. We added some first base pick and stretch animations. And as always, urgency is always being discussed. And we added new fielding and throwing urgency animations, and then just a variety of hot shot catch and miss animations. And the final thing is just dives.
Thank you, Connor. As you mentioned, we have hundreds of new gameplay animations, and a lot of them are in the fielding department. To recap real quick, the fielding ability attribute governs errors, non-throwing, correct? Like
Yes.
getting the ball hitting you in your chest or a hot
Yeah.
shot or something like that. So when that happens, everyone, remember, that's not your fault because of the individual that you're using and their fielding ability attribute. That's what's going to cause those errors. It also is what's going to determine the start transitions and the jumps, right, Kyle?
Yeah.
What should we talk about next? Let's talk about the next major fielding revamp, the button accuracy throw meter. But before we talk about the changes, how does this meter, or how did this meter work in the past, and what did it represent, Kyle?
So in the past, throw accuracy meter had consistent timing, always in the center, green region scale depending on fielder accuracy. But we noticed it just wasn't challenging enough.
Nope, that's
It
green, sweet spot in the same spot all the time.
Right. You know, we're watching streams, we're playing internally. It doesn't have the competitive nature that some of our other interfaces, pinpoint or zone, you know, a little more complexity to it. And so we thought, how can we add that into the show this year? How can we make it more competitive? How can we keep our players on their toes like the players are in real life? And so there's a little bit of work done that I think Connor is happy to speak to.
Connor, what's changed with button accuracy throwing?
Yeah, these changes are one of my favorites for sure. In previous years, there was just the red, yellow, and green Ramon, and those were pretty stagnant.
No, they were stagnant. They didn't move at all.
Yeah, so in this year's game, it's changed quite a bit. Difficult infield plays, that green section is going to move. And those long outfield throws, it's going to move as well.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, with the moving meter, it just adds the sense of urgency to the players, trying to mimic, exactly what they're feeling on the field. You know, runners on base, runners in scoring position, trying to throw a runner out from second and center, 250 feet away. That's not easy, you know. So looking back at the numbers from telemetry and the feedback that you all give us on streams and
y'all weren't
questionnaires.
making no errors. Wasn't nobody making any errors.
Nobody's making any errors.
Nobody was making any errors. You could close your eyes and field, but those days are gone.
Yeah, those
because
outfield
the meter moves.
Those outfield assist numbers were astronomical, you know, and I think it was 11 or 12 was the outfield assist leader, you know. So we want to see some more realism there. You know, you don't want to be throwing everybody out every time. We want those moments to be special, impactful, and highlight, you know,
right.
exactly what
and
you're
what
doing.
Kyle is really talking about is everything was too easy. It was too easy to
just a
throw
little too
people
easy for
out, and
everyone.
our put out numbers were astronomical and not realistic at all.
Mhm.
So specifically, let's talk about in the outfield, what's happening with button accuracy? What's changing that's going to make our put out numbers way more realistic?
Just the start, the moving of the meter itself is just already difficult and challenging. You're focusing on a couple things. You have to know where your runners are in space on the bases. You have to hit a very minuscule perfect meter to get your most efficient and accurate throw home. All those things combined with running an efficient route to the ball, it's challenging in real life, and we want that challenge for you all, you know, in our game.
For some of our new fans watching this stream and learning about MLB The Show for the first time, what is the green spot and what determines its size? The sweet spot in the meter, the green little area.
Yeah, so the green area is the sweet spot, as you mentioned. It's going to be an online throw if you hit that green spot. That is tied to the arm accuracy attribute. So because of that, we've also balanced our other mechanics as well, whether you're using buttons or analog throwing, to kind of mimic those MLB numbers.
And put like the full control in the player's hands, because the really cool aspect of it is with this really challenging throw accuracy meter, you can take some hits on other statistics. If you can master the meter, you can take a hit with poor arm accuracy for a shortstop, for example, because he's a better hitter. And so if you're good, if you get into custom practice, which I'm happy to say we've done a couple changes for you, and go on in there, tech it out in the tech test, and get your hands on the throw accuracy meter, test it out before you start playing everybody live.
So quick recap, all of the fielding interfaces have been rebalanced. That's correct.
Absolutely.
But button accuracy has been completely revamped. The sweet spot, the green area, it now moves.
Yes.
It does.
And that is based off the difficulty of the play and what else?
Distance of the throw.
The distance
if
of
you're
the
in
throw.
outfield.
Yeah, so, distance of the throw and difficulty of the play.
All
But,
right.
Ramon, we left one thing out.
Uh-oh, what we leave out?
The yellow portion of the meter.
Oh.
Force throws to first, now the yellow portion of the meter. And what that does, it's basically a dirt throw region. So if I'm throwing the first and I hit it inside that yellow region, it's up to the first baseman's fielding attribute whether he's going to make that pick.
Oh, Frank Thomas comes to mind. Yes, he does. So it's yellow, but it doesn't correlate to the person throwing the ball. That's really going to correlate to who you have at first base because it's a dirt throw and you're hoping that guy over there has a high fielding ability.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, you do.
All right. So we're talking about all things gameplay. We've talked about the fielding ability. We've talked about jumps and dives. We talked about button accuracy. Now let's talk about quirks and attributes. Also, big changes coming to quirks. What are they?
So we have 4 new quirks this year. Pickoff artist, table setter, break outlier, and bad ball hitter. And the pickoff artist kind of does exactly what it says it does. You're going to get a little boost when you're on the mound, a little quicker pickoff move, hopefully being able to get that runner out. The table setter kind of does what it says. Nobody's on base. You excel at getting on, kind of jump starting your team. Break outlier. This is for pitchers, both starting and relief. The starting pitchers, the 3rd and 4th time through the lineup, won't lose as much break. So you can expect to see the same type of tightness on a slider and a curveball that you would in the 1st and the 8th inning. Whereas if they didn't have that outlier attached, you'd see the slider and curveball become a little flatter, not have as much break. And then lastly, the bad ball hitter. That is a little bit of a buff or a little bit of a boost when you're swinging and making contact at pitches outside of the zone. So if you're thinking Vlad Guerrero picking it off the dirt, that's where you'd see that quirk take
That's
effect.
not the only thing happening in the quirks. In game, what else is changing when it comes to the realm of quirks?
Yeah, so we've actually removed passive quirks in this year's game especially. We just felt like there were a lot. There were some that did something, some that didn't do anything.
So if they didn't do anything, they're gone.
They're gone.
Yep.
They're
Boom,
gone.
There it is.
So what that means is what you see is what's impacting gameplay.
And I think that's really important. Don't forget, quirks stack. So if you're lucky enough to have a player with 3 or 4 quirks, maybe it's a day game, a road game, and you got those 2 things, those will stack and they will affect either the size of your PCI or the sweet spot, whether you're pitching. So it's all affecting the gameplay.
But we're not done. Another big change you'll be able to play in the tech test tomorrow, because you're going to be able to play with all of this, is we were talking about attributes, right?
Yeah, we were.
We have a complete change on the attribute called clutch. It does not work the way it used to. How did it change, fellas?
So we made it meaningful, really. We wanted to highlight those players that are successful when the time calls for it. Runners on base, big game, 9th inning. The ones that step
Clutch.
up, the ones that step up, or that pitcher that's just nails, like fastball, go take a seat, next one up. That's what we wanted the clutch attribute to do. Highlight specific players. You got. Judge is a great example of someone. When he comes up, that intimidation factor is there. That guy is ready when the moment calls for it. So, Connor, why don't you tell us a little bit about how that clutch is going to factor in with contact and stuff?
Most definitely. So in years past, contact and hits per 9 have kind of been battling with one another. But now, with runners in scoring position, clutch is a direct replacement for contact, and pitching clutch is a direct replacement for hits per 9.
So let's say this again. Clutch is now swapping attributes. What happens when you're a pitcher now?
When you are pitching clutch replaces hits per 9 with runners in scoring position.
With runners in scoring position. That's massive. But it's also big on the hitting side. So as a batter with the runner in scoring position, what does clutch as an attribute do now?
Clutch now swaps in and replaces contact. So that new battle is that clutch versus pitcher clutch when there's runners in scoring position.
So you're getting 2 brand new contact ratings if there's somebody in scoring position if you're a hitter.
That's right, Ramon.
This seems like a lot. Also, all of this information, including the breakdown for all of the things that you'll see in game, like clutch, power, is in the handbook. Full definitions. And also, where can you find the handbook?
It's in the Diamond Dynasty menus.
So we've been talking about attributes. We just told you about how clutch is being completely changed. Let's talk about on-screen displays and other changes we've made.
Yeah, so this year, right and left on the D-pad, we've taken some time to touch up, and what you see is what you're going to get this year. You're going to see on the left, Framber Valdez, for example. He's got his per-nines. Those are all his base attributes that are meant to be the driver for the game. Now, under that, there's his active quirks, and those are just gravy on top.
Yep. So you've got pluses and minuses to those attributes based off of those quirks. Any other changes to on-screen displays to show more accurate and pertinent information?
Yeah, so we're going to touch on swing feedback in a little bit, but one of the coolest things we've added is just StatCast, and that is left on the D-pad. StatCast is going to update based on just the situation of the game. It's going to update throughout the game with any information that a player might want to see.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool to check where my numbers are at the end of the game, how much I whiffed, how much contact I make in, what the opposing pitcher's throwing to me. That's really cool stats that I personally like seeing, and I think everybody playing the game is going to like it too.
Let's talk about swing analysis. It's been completely revamped, and it needed to be completely revamped. We spent a lot of time on this, and unfortunately, we weren't doing our best job to show everybody who plays the game the pertinent information. And we'll just leave it at that. Let's talk about why it's changed and why it's so much better. Connor, what's changed?
Yeah, so we definitely wanted to make it more clear for everyone that plays our game. It's meant to tell a story. And what you're going to see is that if you read it from the top down, left to right, you're going to see the player's name and his applicable attributes. But under that, you're going to see everything that's important, from swing timing to if you're using zone hitting, PCI placement. And then at the very bottom, you're going to see the overall result.
So the first big change is swing timing is now on the left. Why is that?
So in our hitting engine and in real life, the timing of your swing dictates the rest of your at-bat. You need good timing to be able to hit the ball successfully, whether it's inside or outside, and that timing varies, obviously, depending on the location of the pitch, which also factors into the equation a little bit. So, like you mentioned, timing is the number one most important factor in our hitting engine, followed by your PCI placement when you're using zone interface.
Right, and so not only is swing timing now on the left, it shows up immediately during your swing. If you played the game last year, swing timing would not show up until after the hit had taken place. So we could understand how some people would disregard it as it being important because we didn't show it to you, and that's on us, but that has been changed. You see it immediately now. As Kyle mentioned, swing timing is the most important thing in your swing, but that's not it. There's a lot of nuance. Let's talk about PCI placement. I'm already seeing differences in the PCI. Why has it changed? What does it mean?
Yeah, so you're going to see quite a big difference. This year we've added that little center dot to the PCI. That's kind of the bullseye region. Now, as you get farther away from it, it kind of changes whether your PCI is above or below the ball or to the left or right. But in saying that, we've gotten rid of just that center area, that kind of yellowed filled in portion, just to kind of
Too much ambiguity.
And
not enough nuance, which is very difficult, and that's what we're trying to do. So the center dot, is that the perfect region?
That is.
Is that perfect ground ball, fly, or line drive?
See, because there's some ambiguity in the swing feedback, it can be slightly above or below it and still be a perfect. So ideally, yeah, the very center is going to be a perfect line drive, but it's not always that way.
And that's due to the combination of your swing timing. There's not just one perfect swing timing for a pitch. There's a millisecond range that you can work within. So hence the way the system works.
And the last big change to swing timing, what is going on at the bottom? I see some text here, Kyle. What is that?
So we repurposed that contact grade. The contact grade all along, even from 22 and 21, it was your final output grade, but we weren't doing a great job as a gameplay team, giving that to you all out there. And so what we wanted to do is simplify it, like Connor and Ramon have both been saying, simplify that contact grade. So now that contact good is going to really reflect the output on the field. Your combination of swing timing and PCI placement are both factored into contact with your exit velo and launch angle. And for those of you who maybe question a little bit, put that exit velo and put that launch angle on Baseball Savant in the calculator, and you're going to get numbers in terms of distances that match and reflect what you see.
Now, add in the fact that you've got the handiness of the pitch, you've got the spin of the pitch, you've got the location of the pitch, you've got wind, you've got park factors, And there's a lot of nuance. There is still a lot of nuance in the results of your swing. But we're very, very confident that this new swing analysis box is way better than anything we've ever had, and we can't wait for you to try it out. And you're going to get to try it out tomorrow. So remember, your swing timing is on the left, your PCI placement is on the right, and your contact grade, that's below, right?
Right.
So you're adding up all three, right?
Exactly.
It's a
That's
picture.
a great way to look at it, Ramon. You're adding up all of your inputs, and the contact is your final result.
All right. So we've talked about the all-new swing analysis, but what's an all-new swing analysis box without some hitting changes? So we have gameplay styles, right? We've got 3 of them: casual, simulation, and competitive. Casual and simulation, numbers look great. The community was very happy. Those modes still got changes, but y'all were happy with it, so we didn't touch a whole lot. However, competitive mode is a different story. The competitive gameplay style has been completely redone. Let's talk about the changes.
Yeah, I know earlier I said throw accuracy meter changes were one of my favorite, but I truly think this might take it. Competitive is a really cool thing, and these gameplay styles are one. It's just an area we feel we can. It's an avenue for us to go down and to kind of differentiate the game for different types of players.
And with that competitive, with the feedback that we get from you all on streams, the esport tournaments that we watch, those things are so awesome. We really want to highlight the player skill that you all have out there. It's so awesome to watch those tournaments, to watch those game-winning home runs, watch the throws. But we notice, I think we could be a little bit more competitive. I think we need to do more to that pitcher-batter matchup. We weren't happy with some of the foul ball rates we were seeing. We weren't happy with the amount of swing and misses we weren't seeing. Unfortunately, we were seeing too much contact up there. So we thought as a gameplay team, how can we get better? How can we make these changes? And so we looked at all these different things to enhance that pitcher-batter matchup.
Perfect. Let's start with foul ball changes. Competitive gameplay style. What's changing when it comes to foul balls?
There's less of them, Ramon. You're gonna notice that pitchers can strike batters out a lot easier now. It's what we see in real life, and it's what we want people to experience on our game. If you're pitching well, you're gonna get the guy out.
Yeah, I think that's really important to highlight. A lot of frustration internally as well as with you all out there is the lack of being able to finish off an at-bat with 2 strikes. It can be really frustrating when you get 2 strikes on a batter and they're throwing sliders and curveballs and off-speeds down and away or down or even up and in, and they're fouling off pitches that they probably should not be getting to.
Oh, no, they shouldn't be.
Especially with poor timing.
Yep.
You know, if you're very, very late, very early, you should not be rewarded with an extra pitch. You know, that pitcher got you, and we need to, rectify that, and we did. The swing and misses are there. The foul ball rates, those extended at bats, we weren't happy with seeing that, those 9 or 10 pitch at bats with those very poor timings. Like that is something we didn't like to see, and so we've made changes to address those things in the competitive mode this year.
At the end of the day, previous years I've always struggled with hitting, and I finally feel like I'm able to make up for it with my pitching in this year when it comes to pinpoint and just being able to sequence my pitches.
Yep, being able to strike guys out.
This guy coming from the tourney winner, of course, he mentions his ability to execute his pitches.
You won the tourney?
The All-Star bracket, not the Hall of Fame.
Hey man, you stick your chest out.
Oh, it's out.
You won the tourney. I didn't win the tourney.
I have to walk by and see his trophy every day. So it's not something I look forward to seeing.
You won the tourney. All right. We just talked about
certificate.
foul ball rates. We've talked about swing analysis. Complete revamp. We've been revamping everything in gameplay. What else? Where are we talking next?
You're going to notice a significant decrease in the amount of cheap hits that you would expect. And what I refer to as cheap hits are those really late timing flares over the first baseman or third baseman. Those are very, very frustrating, especially when you get down to 2 strikes, or especially with runners in scoring position. It as a player, it's not fun to have that happen to you. Can it happen? Of course. The whole spectrum is there, but we narrowed the entire range for those very early, very late swings. So you'll see a lot less of those.
What Kyle is basically saying is, if you're playing on competitive, good swing timing, great swing timing, perfect swing timing, good PCI placement, you're going to hit the ball harder. You're going to find more green grass. Those bloop hits that you would get from, weak timing or okay contact, those are happening at a much lower clip. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct.
And we've done a few tournaments here. The game is, we're seeing this play out. It's also way harder. Strikeouts are up. So we're really excited to have everybody play out these tons of changes that are coming to MLB The Show 23. Kyle and Connor, we've been talking about gameplay styles, competitive mode. Where will you find yourself playing in competitive mode?
It is a gameplay style. So if you are in Diamond Dynasty, it's set to competitive.
That's pretty much for all competitive online games, right?
All online games, all Diamond Dynasty, whether online or offline.
Oh, so even if I'm playing online against the computer, it's still in competitive mode.
Yes.
And I can toggle it on and off if I'm playing offline in a different mode.
Yep. You just go to your gameplay styles and toggle them there.
All right. We forgot to mention something, and it's pretty significant. Kyle, plate vision is an attribute.
It is.
It has changed.
Yeah.
How has it changed?
So to take effect in competitive, you're going to notice right away that we took 50% of your vision away on the outside. And really, that's the swing and misses and foul balls. You know, that was a big enhancer of extending those at-bats when it wasn't warranted. You would see off PCI fouls and even potentially hits. And so that shrunken vision is really changing the way the foul ball rates.
Say that one more time. What's the reduction?
50%. Half.
50%. Half. All right, let's go. This is the gameplay feature premiere. Remember, the tech test, you can play it tomorrow. We've talked about fielding changes, all new animations. We've talked about batting. We've talked about the PCI. We've talked about swing analysis. But the MLB have some rule changes. Which rule changes are we going to see in MLB The Show 23?
So the first rule change you're going to see right out of the gate is the newly implemented shift rule, and that's with a minimum of 4 infielders on the dirt at all times, with 2 infielders on each side of second base. And it's really going to kind of we're interested as a gameplay team to see the way it changes the game. We have the default set accordingly, but we're really curious to see how it's going to play in spring training and through the course of the year. So we're ready to adjust those shifts as needed, because I'm really curious to see what people do with the outfielder if they try to play rover. So that's going to be really interesting from our team.
Yeah, so defensive shifts are still in the game, but we're implementing the new real-life MLB rules.
Yeah, and then we have the pitch timer and head-to-head. We've always had that when you're playing online head-to-head competitively or offline head-to-head. We have that auto pitch timer at, I think it's a 6-second mark right now. The pickoff limit, and that was where if the pitcher picks off twice, they only have one more attempt to pick off successfully. If not, it's balked. The runner moves on to second or third.
But that is not implemented in MLB The Show for, gameplay balancing reasons.
Right.
It will be balk city because everybody would just be doing that, right?
Yep.
But the new defensive shift rules are in. The other change that you will not see in MLB The Show 23 is visually bigger bases. But the MLB rule changes are in for defensive shifts. Can't wait to see what y'all try out. So we've talked about a lot of the changes in the realm of gameplay. All of these updates you can play in the tech test tomorrow. February 15th, servers will be open around 10 a.m. Pacific. Be sure to play as many games as you can, and be sure to leave your feedback as you play on theshow.com. We've covered fielding changes, the new button accuracy meter, attributes and quirk changes. Clutch is completely different. Competitive mode has been rewritten from the ground up. Did we cover everything? Last thoughts, fellas?
I'm looking forward to the feedback from the tech test. I can't wait to see you guys get your hands on the new meter, get the changes, and I'm really interested just to see the foul balls and swing and miss rates. Something I'm looking forward to, the thousands and thousands of you playing and get all those numbers back.
I am definitely looking forward to playing against everyone. I am also looking forward to just watching streams and hearing everyone's thoughts. Also, just want to thank the AI team. I know Kyle and I are out here speaking on behalf of everyone, all the hard work, and we appreciate it.
I'm joined by senior technical game designer Kyle Blake. Kyle, how you doing?
I'm doing great today, Ramon.
We got a few things to tell people about the tech test today, don't we?
We do. There's some cool stuff we might want to tip them off before they see it tomorrow.
So, co-op. Let's start there.
Co-op, yeah. Everybody asked for it. We want rewards in co-op. We heard it. So we did it. So just like solo ranked, now there's co-op ranked, where there's a ladder that you're going to be climbing. When you play with your buddies and you win games, your rating goes up. If you lose games, it goes down. When your rating meets those certain thresholds, just like in solo ranked, you're going to get rewards. So long story short, we got rewards in co-op.
But that's not all, Kyle. There's more.
There's more. So we got a couple other tidbits that we'll just tip you off about in the tech test. First, DH. The MLB got the universal DH just this last season, so now we have it in Diamond Dynasty as well. So any squad you play with in Diamond Dynasty has a DH.
DH is NDD, but that's not all, Kyle.
Yeah, alongside that, we've of course added full two-way player functionality. I'll give you an example. Of course, the one everybody knows is Shohei Ohtani. So we'll have Shohei Ohtani's Life Series card, which still is a starting pitcher, but it has secondary positions, so that's what makes him a two-way player. And that goes for any player in Diamond Dynasty. When they're a pitcher with secondary positions, you can use them as a DH and in your starting rotation. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. And if you don't want to have him as the DH in the rotation, you can just put him in one of his secondary positions. So now that player is just super flexible, just like a two-way player is in real life.
Thank you so much, Kyle, for joining us and giving us those extra tidbits of info about what's going to be in the tech test. We'll also be joined by Kyle very, very soon for the Diamond Dynasty feature premiere. Have still so much to talk about. We want to give an extra special thanks to our guests today, Luis, Steve Merca, Kyle, and Connor. Hope you all enjoyed it. Talk to you later. Peace.